I am insanely excited for Mega Rising, and so in today's video, I want to take a look at every single Mega card that has been revealed, go over how I think they potentially will be played, because I think that these cards are going to create a really healthy metagame. Cross my fingers. Before we go any further, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. And the first one I want to look at is Mega Absol. Initially, when I saw it, I didn't think too much of it, but I think it could be something. It's going to be a really, really disruptive, very annoying card to deal with. My only concerns with it is Mega Absol, it's going to do 80 damage. You get to choose a supporter from your opponent's hand and discard it. The problem is that you are giving your opponent win by having that Mega Absol in the active spot. What do I mean by that? Well, if your opponent is able to establish themselves quick enough, it doesn't really matter what trainer cards you get rid of unless we build the deck around to avoid it. But like, say it's Darkrai Giratina. If they get a Darkrai and a Giratina down, that deck kind of doesn't need very much more than having Darkrai and Giratina in play. They're going to be able to blow through a Mega Absol at some point. So here's how I'm looking at this deck. We have our two Mega Absol, and as a tech card is going to be the double Fossil. This is like old Genetic Apex tech, but I think in a deck like this, it makes a lot of sense. So think about it. You are going to be playing Absol. You're going to be discarding their supporter cards. Hopefully, you will get rid of any Cyruses, any Sabrinas from their hand. But if you don't, or if they play Repel, your game plan is going to be do damage with Mega Absol until it's scary enough that we go into the second Mega Absol. But again, a Sabrina or a Cyrus is going to just win your opponent the game. So by playing the Skull Fossil, you can at least avoid Sabrina or Repel winning the game for your opponent. And to me, that feels like if I'm playing just a Mega 18 trainer deck, it feels like a worthwhile inclusion. The rest of the deck is going to be built around healing our Mega Absol as much as possible. Basic Pokemon don't have the best heal available to them. We have Pokemon Center Lady and Potion. That's really it. One Giant Cape, one Dark Pendant. Dark Pendant, if the Mega Absol is attacked and has Dark Pendant on it, you get to, or a card is chosen at random from your opponent's hand, and it goes back into their deck. Now, take a look at this, because I think this is actually really, really cute. The Mars isn't going to be used for much besides being a third red card, but think about this. Let's say you use Absol's attack, and you discard a supporter. You know what's in their hand, and you know that coming into their next turn, they don't have another card you want to get rid of. You can then go red card, hope that you red card them into something good for you to rip out of their hand with the Mega Absol attack. I think this deck is going to be like really enjoyable to play. I'm hopeful it can be good. Some problems are, again, like Mega Absol being in the active spot just kind of gives them game immediately. Another thing is if you go first, you are now behind on attachments. They're going to get, what, 2 full turns to set up. Either way, they're going to have 2 full turns to set up, but it can be sort of tricky. That's also why having 2 red card and 1 Mars is good. So if you go first, you can hopefully set that hand down to 3. Just make it hard for your opponent to get going. Yeah, it's going to be a really disruptive deck. It's going to be very annoying to play against, but I'm excited, man. These Megas have me pumped up. I really feel, it feels like Genetic Apex where we could just kind of build a ton of stuff. And everything was sort of relevant in the meta, because this is going to be the biggest set we've had in a while. There's going to be an obvious power creep with these Megas. So it's going to be a set full of way more powerful EXs than we've ever seen before. Very, very excited. So now I want to take a look at Mega Pinsir, and this deck is, it's only 2 lines, right? It's a very simple deck. I am basing it off of how we're currently playing the Alolan Executor deck. Now, the bonus of the Pinsir is that if Pinsir flips tails, it's still going to do damage. It does 80 damage, plus 70 more if you flip heads. You get 2 more card slots in the deck as well, because you don't have to run a second Evo line. Also just makes, like, getting it on board a lot easier. This deck seems like it should be really smooth for the most part. And we're also playing a baby Pokemon in here, because Pinsir needs 3 energy to attack. It does have 1 colorless. We would really love it if it was 2 colorless, but it's just 1 colorless. So we can use the Mantike to at least get an energy on there and then manually attach to it twice, and that'll take care of that. And then the Leafeon is here as our Oricorio protection. I think Oricorio is going to be very, very, very strong in this upcoming format. Another way that I can see this being played is, we didn't do this with Alolan Executor, but I think it would be perfectly valid to play Mega Pinsir, but we add in maybe a third Eevee, go down to 1 Leafeon and add 2 Leafeon EX, cut to 2 Mantike. That should give you the space. Cut down 2 Mantike, add an Eevee, add a net positive of 1 Leafeon in there, and that way you can get your energy acceleration from the Leafeon onto the Mega Pinsir. If you're doing that, you're probably abandoning ever attacking with anything but Pinsir in most games if they're able to get set up quickly. But those are the 2 ways I'm looking at playing this. This is just a straight copy of how we're currently playing Alolan Executor, so it makes sense to me. And then the other way would be making Leafeon be our energy acceleration guy, because he would pair pretty well with Pinsir as well, and then you don't lose your Oricorio out either. I mean, rest of the deck list, you know, you're using Will to flip, red card for a little bit of disruption, and double giant leaf cape, or double leaf cape, double Erica. Try to keep the Pinsir healthy, because if your opponent targets down the Pinsir, you lose the game. Very, very simple. Yeah, I think Pinsir, like, I think it would be better if it wasn't a grass type. I can see fire being very, very good in this format. And not that Pinsir will probably ever get one shot, but it certainly doesn't help it too much. So this might be my favorite Mega that's coming out. Originally, I wasn't too keen on it, but then I started to think that I can see the way that these Mega games are going to go often enough is whoever puts their Mega in the active spot first probably loses. There is no Mega Pokemon that is able to one-shot another Mega. All of them are capped out. Not even Blaziken with a red, if I'm right. Yeah, not even Blaziken with a red. The only one it can knock out is Pinsir without any sort of tool on it because of weakness. But other than that, no Mega is knocking each other out in one hit. So what you're probably going to want to do is have some other attacker in the active spot that can force that Mega up. Now, Mega Altaria, being Psychic type, is going to have some pretty cool options. So let's talk about this. Mega Altaria is going to do 40 damage plus 30 more for each basic you have. That means Mega Altaria can cap out at 130. It is just like Arceus, but with different damage numbers because it starts at 40 and it adds 30 instead of being Arceus's whatever plus 20, I'm pretty sure. I think that's how Arceus works. I've played so much Arceus, I should know off the top of my head, but I only know... Yes, because 2 bench Pokemon is 110 and 3 is 130. I was about to say, I only know the numbers, so it starts at 70. Okay. Anyways, Mega Altaria does that. Another card we get to pair with it is the new Jirachi. Jirachi has good synergy for 2 reasons. We can use the new Licia supporter to pull 2 Pokemon with 50 HP out of the deck into our hand. That is going to help us set up our Swablues. It's going to help us get our Jirachis. Also, it just adds to the bench, giving Altaria more damage at any point in the game. But the Jirachi, it has an attack that does 30 damage anywhere it wants. So, we can pair that with double Cyrus. And now we have 2 options, 2 really, really strong options to force our opponent to play the game. Jirachi is going to be dropping damage on a Mega, or we can just set up a Giratina in the active spot and say, you have to do something. My Giratina is just 2 turns away from swinging for 130 damage back to back to back. Very, very scary. Psychic type has some pretty... I mean, Psychic type has Giratina. And when you get to play Giratina with Psychic Energy, it becomes a very, very scary card because it is so aggressive. So I'm really hype on Mega Altaria because of those reasons. You get the Jirachi to do some pinging shenanigans and hopefully bring that Mega up to the active spot, or you have the Giratina to knock out whatever is stalling for time in the active on your opponent's side and force that Mega to come up, and then you have Altaria, and you just get to go Altaria, Altaria, you know, swing on the Mega twice, and you win the game. I'm really, really hype on this card. I hope some list like this works out how I want. It has everything I love. It's got bench snipe. Yeah, I think it's going to be very, very cool. Now, the red and the Guzma, these could be flex things. Red and Guzma are here because I'm thinking, well, I probably need to hit for, you know, around 150. Maybe the Guzma matters, maybe it doesn't. It's just hard to tell, like, based on the current metagame. Yeah, obviously you'd want a red, because you would want to be able to knock out a Suicune, you'd want to be able to knock out a Giratina, those 140, 150 HP Pokemon, and then the Giant Cape you can use, the Guzma, you can use the Guzma, get rid of the Giant Cape off of, like, a Suicune, and then red, knock it out the next turn, you know, do some pre-planning with your supporters. Whether those are even necessary, I don't know. I don't know. We'll have to see in the metagame if they, how the metagame develops. If they aren't, and we get to cut Guzma for another card, that's only better for us. That's only better. We're also playing one of the May. This is the first deck to feature the May, but it's an evolution deck, so I think it makes sense here. We're playing a decent amount of Pokemon, 8 Pokemon, and the May just seems like a really good way to find stage 1 evolutions. I can't think of a better card than May to do so. It's just a better Pokemon communication. You essentially need a Pokemon in hand to play it, and then you get to look at 2 new Pokemon in order to, or you get to look at 2 new Pokemon and then put 2 Pokemon back into your deck, and hopefully out of those 3 Pokemon that you have, one of them is a Mega Altaria and you can evolve it. Dude, super, super cool. Like, ridiculously hyped for this deck. I was not keen on Mega Altaria until I saw the Jirachi and realized, you know, how I see these mega battles going, and I think Altaria's got a pretty good toolkit to deal with it. Now, we don't really have a great way to deal with Oricorio in this deck. We could play the basic Altaria, or I'm sure, I haven't even looked through, I'm sure there's a Psychic Pokemon that could fill the role. We might not even need Leaf in the deck, because if we start Giratina realistically, like, we don't care to move it. We're probably fine with the Giratina being in the active spot and just building up energy on itself. So I could see you getting rid of Leaf for a Pokemon that can deal with Oricorio. Like I said, I'm sure they are here in the game somewhere. There has to be a good Psychic attacker that can deal with an Oricorio, no problem. Now for the Mega, I am the least excited about. It is Mega Ampharos, and the reason for that is it is a stage 2, meaning hard to set up, and it is a 3 energy attacker. So the thing with Lightning is it has so much support that there are a lot of ways I can see this being built. We could even go for, before I even get into this list, we could go for a Pichu, double Oricorio, double Ampharos build, and hope that our Mays are enough to get the Ampharos set up. But this build I have in front of you is just a Raikou build. So Raikou, we can either decide to attach to it if we have the electrical cord, or we can just leave the Raikou in the active spot to help us set up Mega Ampharos, and then attach to it manually. It just seems overall like this card is going to be fairly weak. It's doing 100 damage, and then the 20 snipe to the bench, it picks 20 damage randomly 3 times, so it's a total of 60, but you don't get to choose where any of that goes, and it's just gonna be spread around randomly. So it could be a little bit tricky if you're not able to 2-shot it. Like, if this Ampharos can survive an attack after a Lily and just hold on for a little bit, you've put out effectively, let's see here, 480 damage total. And with a Cyrus, I mean, you could do 100 to something. If the damage goes right, you could use Cyrus on a bench Pokemon and then knock that out, put more damage around. Like, it seems like it could be scary, but I'm confused on how I should build this to get it set up. Honestly, that's about where I'm at. The Raikou, maybe, like, the Raikou doesn't feel great, but it's gonna get you into the Ampharos more consistently. But maybe a Pichu double May build is just enough. We haven't played with it yet to know how consistent it actually feels. But if May does boost evolution Pokemon's consistency that much, then I could totally see just saying, hey, we don't need the Raikou. Let's be the problem. Because like I said, a lot of these Megas are probably going to have some problem with Oricorio. It's not going to be the most fun for them to deal with. And if we can play a double Oricorio and a Mega, there might be something there. There might be something there. So that's Mega Ampharos. Again, not the most keen on it, but it does have like all the lightning support in the world. So there is a lot to be explored with this card. And I will definitely, yeah, I'm excited to try this one out too, because I do think there is potential there. I'm not sure how much, but with all the lightning support, there's got to be something, right? There's got to be something. All right, moving on to the two Megas that I think are probably the strongest. So the first one I want to look at is Gyarados. I think Gyarados gets really, really scary. Like already, I mean, it is essentially just Gyarados with 30 more HP, because for the most part, if you ever played Gyarados, you know that if your Gyarados EX got knocked out, that was kind of the end of the game for you. There wasn't a whole lot else you could really do. But I think that the deck gets a lot stronger because of the Licia, allowing you to get two Pokemon with less than 50 HP, and the May. So all of our Pokemon in this, all of our basic Pokemon in this deck are going to have less than 50 HP. We got double Manaphy, one Mantike, two Magikarp. Licia is going to pull two of them out. Hopefully one of them is going to be a Magikarp in combination with our Pokeballs as well. And then another card I'm super hype on is the May. I tried Gyarados in this format. Gyarados, its stats are still ridiculous. 180 HP, 140 damage. Insane. Insane numbers against the current meta. Gyarados' problem was that you could just not reliably find that stage 1 without playing, like, because you need a way to attach the energy. And ideally, there is a Suicune that allows you to attach multiple energy per turn to Gyarados, but it just doesn't work that way. So you have to play Manaphy in order to set up the Gyarados in time, and you just don't have a way to consistently get into the Gyarados. But with the Licia in the May, I feel like we'll be thinning out the deck enough that we will be pretty likely to find that Mega Gyarados, and he will be able to start swinging. And his attack is very, very scary, because not only does it do 140, but it discards the top 3 cards of our opponent's deck. That is ridiculous. Now, the only cards that I'm like really, truly hung up on in here are the double Irida. Maybe we don't need 2 instances of heal 40 from the Gyarados. Maybe we can get away with scrapping the Iridas altogether and playing double Misty and just hoping for that burst, catch our opponent off guard, and get into a Mega Gyarados way faster than we realistically should have. Maybe that's just good enough. I am playing the basic Gyarados, whatever, the regular Gyarados, as our Oricorio counter. It also just, I mean, it's like another Gyarados that you can attack with, and the reason why I'm not playing like Palkia like we used to is playing Palkia kind of requires us to play, or the Origin Form Palkia, sorry. It kind of requires us to play Leafs in the deck. If we're not playing Leaf and we start with that Origin Form Palkia, it doesn't look great for us. Maybe if there's a bigger, like a big lack of Greninja in the format, then it would be fine. That's how we used to play it, and there wasn't a whole lot of Greninja going on, so you were fine with just saying, all right, well, I guess I'm not using Origin Form Palkia this game. He's just gonna tank damage, and I'll manually attach to my Gyarados, and maybe a Misty Flip will come through, and that'll have, the Gyarados will have 4 energy on it by the time the Origin Form Palkia gets knocked out. But I don't really want to deal with that if I don't have to, and if I could play the Wild Swing Gyarados. There is also a world where the Mega Gyarados gets really damaged, and you can discard it, and maybe the regular Gyarados can hold on for a turn or something. I don't know. Like, it's an option. I don't think you're gonna use it too much, but it is a possibility. Yeah, Gyarados seems very, very scary. The stats on the card are just ridiculous. But I do think it does have the weakest, you know, like I was saying with Altaria, is that we're gonna need a Pokemon to attack before the Mega Gyarados if we're playing this mega chicken game. with each other, right? Like Gyarados attacking, it'll probably knock out whatever's in the active spot, but then when the Mega comes up, it's going to take damage from the Mega, and it won't be able to one-shot it in return. Another reason why I think Sabrina is about to become one of the more powerful supporters in the game. Being able to move a Mega is going to be ridiculous. I think Repels will probably be on the downswing, and we will just see decks opting to play Sabrina full-time now, because moving that Mega and accessing one last Pokemon on the bench to get that last point we need is probably going to be very, very strong. And the last deck I want to take a look at is the Mega Blaziken. Potentially the strongest Mega to come out because it has 210 HP. It's huge. It's going to do 120 damage, burn your opponent's active Pokemon, which means they're going to take 20 damage in between turns. If they don't heal from the burn and don't retreat, it's going to be 160 damage from one Mega Blaziken attack for just 2 energy. It looks ridiculously, ridiculously powerful. Now, the way I can probably see this deck being built best is with Entei. Entei is going to let us, draw our cards and get into that Mega Blaziken as fast as possible. And I think that I thought this card was already pretty good. And then we saw the Fire Patch. And the Fire Patch says, attach a fire energy from your discard pile to your active fire Pokemon. This means that we don't have to play any form of retreat in this deck. We can start our Torchic, attach to it, retreat into the Entei, and not really worry about it. Because we're wasting an attachment, yeah, but we're also not. Because that energy, we can access it with the Flame Patch. If you just start Entei, you can attach twice to the Entei to start doing damage, put some pressure on your opponent, and then whenever your Mega Blaziken is ready to go, you want it in the active spot. Even if it has no energy on it, you can retreat the Entei, use the Fire Patch on the Mega Blaziken, and attach to it, and then there you go. It's ready to attack. I think the card seems really, really busted. I am super excited for this one. I think it's going to be insanely powerful, maybe the most powerful out of all of them. We're playing a May, obviously, because it's a Stage 2 deck. We need a way to set up that Mega Blaziken reliably. And May plus Entei seems like it should be enough to get it done. We don't have any Oricorio counter except for the Combusken, so it's kind of blurry here what you're looking at, but Combusken does 50 damage for 2 energy. So the way I see us dealing with Oricorio is either not dealing with it and using Sabrina around it, or using Combusken to do 50, evolving into Mega Blaziken so that Combusken doesn't get knocked out in return, and then burning the Oricorio, because the effect is still going to go through. It's still going to burn the Oricorio, and that's going to be that last 20 damage you need to knock it out. There are like a couple Pokemon you could run to be an Oricorio, or yeah, an Oricorio counter. The Fire Oricorio seems like it could be decent if it's an attacking Oricorio. It has 1 retreat cost, which I think is really important. I think any Pokemon that isn't Entei needs to have 1 retreat cost in this deck. The Oricorio is going to do 40 damage for 2. And again, like, you don't care as much about your energy attachments because you do have that Fire Patch item card to cheat that energy back into play. So you're fine attacking with Oricorio a couple times, and then knowing that you can set up a Blaziken with 0 energy on it from nowhere. I have 1 Lily. I feel like that's enough. I've sort of mirrored this deck off of how I'm currently playing Solgaleo, and I think 1 heal is probably just enough because Blaziken is going to look to like one-shot whatever's in the active spot and maybe not necessarily use healing cards, but the Lily can help if it needs to. And that's why we play 1 red, 1 Guzma, because both of them effectively work as damage modifiers. Yeah. And then the rest of the list, I mean, just Rare Candy, Double Pokeball. Very self-explanatory. Card seems pretty broken. Let me know what you guys think. What Mega are you most excited for? And let me know if you have any other thoughts on how you might build one of them. I'm just super thrilled. All of these decks seem like they, honestly, like they could have a shot. They could have a shot at doing something in this metagame. I don't think Suicune will hold on to being the top deck. I really hope. These megas just seem too ridiculous, and yeah, I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with this new set. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe on your way out. See you on the next one.